What's up, Joe? Welcome back. Welcome back. Happy race week. 2 days away. Then we have practice today, so always good to see that. I've seen like kick was up there, like the top 10, top 5. So hey, I don't know what kick got going on, but I think it's supposed to like rain or something like that. Like the track is all slick, but hey, it's all good. But today we are finna check out Bruno Senna. I think like the nephew of Ayrton Senna. So should be good. Should be great. Very, very much am looking forward to that. As always, shout out to Josh Revell. All credit goes to him. I mean, big time. Without further ado, also, I forgot. Colapinto did get confirmed to be the Alpine driver for next season. So if you guys have not checked out my short video talking about that, make sure you guys do check that out. Outside that, boys and girls, let's check it out. Let's see what's on. But as always, before it starts, make sure you guys do like the video and hit that subscribe button down low, man. 5 races left. Got some watch alongs. We got some like post-match stuff going on. Make sure you guys do subscribe so you guys do not miss anything. Let's get it.
Back in the 80s and 90s of Formula 1, Ayrton Senna was regarded by many to be the best Grand Prix driver in the world. 3 world titles, 41 wins, 65 pole positions, and some of the most misused quotes in all of motor racing history. Over one lap, few could match him, and his title of the greatest qualifier of all time has got a pretty good argument going for it. But after leaving McLaren at the end of 1993, Ayrton made mention of another driver that he thought had great future potential.
What if he stayed at McLaren? I think that's a big what if for me. Because what if he did stay at McLaren?
Saying, if you think that I'm fast, just wait till you see my nephew Bruno. Well, years later, this guy did end up making it onto the Formula 1 grid and went on to have a long and successful career in the top flight of motorsport. Except long and successful aren't the 2 words I would use to describe this guy's Formula 1 career. Although when it comes to word association, there are worse combinations for this lad, like Istanbul and dog. But without wishing to induce any more PTSD episodes, I guess I better dig into this and tell y'all the story of Bruno Senna.
Bruno Senna. Hey, that name's kind of tough, bro.
Born in Sao Paulo, Brazil, Bruno's first experience of driving came about in go-karts on the family farm. And as mentioned before, Ayrton held him to a high regard talent-wise. He taught him all he could about the ins and outs of motor racing, which would have been useful for a fruitful career in motorsport.
The former world motor racing champion Ayrton Senna has been pronounced clinically dead
after Ayrton's death during the San Marino Grand Prix. Bruno's own racing career was brought to a sudden end over family fears of safety in the sport, having never raced anything outside of the family farm. Years later, however, Bruno had an itch to scratch, and with the support of his family, would begin his own venture into racing. In 2004, Senna would make his car racing debut in the British Formula BMW series, driving with Carlo. He produced some results, big. But this was merely a warm-up heading into the 2005 season, when he would graduate to the British F3 series, driving with RR Racing alongside Dan Clark. Senna really struggled. Finishing P10 with 1 pole position to his name, as well as 3 podiums, doesn't sound too bad, although teammate Clark performed significantly better, finishing P5 in the overall standings. However, having been out of a cockpit for 10 years, it's kind of understandable for him to still
10 years. That's pretty hard to do, is to not race for 10 years. Obviously, we know his reasons for that, obviously. But to go for 10 years for not doing something is kind of hard. It's like, look at basketball, for example. Like, it's like Michael Jordan retiring for like 10 years and then trying to come back. Like, that's going to be pretty hard to do. Like LeBron doing that. That's going to be pretty hard to do. That's going to be hard. You come back, you're rusty as shit. You're sorry. You can't really do a lot of things like you used to do 10 years ago. But I'm not mad at Bruno for still continuing it though, because he still have like a passion, drive, like a vision to do this, to race, compete. And obviously it didn't start off well, but maybe this is just a start, maybe it's just a rough beginning.
And in 2006,
maybe it's just a rough
seemed like
beginning.
Things were starting to come good. At the Australian Grand Prix, Senna dominated the Formula 3 support class, winning 2 out of the 3 races that weekend. His second season of British F3 started off in fine style, taking pole position in the opening round and winning the first 3 races. However, while he would win 2 more races that year and would finish 3rd in the standings, his teammate Mike Conway would win the championship after a dominant display. Still though, it was a decent beginning, and progression up the motor racing ranks was was only logical. For 2007, Senna would move over to the GP2 series, driving with Ayrton. He was now lodging a serious claim for a Formula 1 seat. Things looked up again, with Senna taking his maiden GP2 win in just his third race. Decent performances for the remainder of the year saw him finish 8th overall, and was miles ahead of his teammate Adrian Zal, who would launch another assault at the GP2 crown in 2008, this time driving with iSport alongside Karun Chandok. Laugh all you want, but Karun has won 2 GP2 races, which is a couple more than pretty much most of us knuckle-dragging, mouth-breathing couch potatoes have done, having secured 6 podiums that year, including a win at Monaco. Senna finished 2nd overall that year, and by this stage, Formula 1 was very much on the cards. Was he setting the motor racing world on fire? I mean, not really, but he was by no means a slow driver. After testing for Honda at the end of 2008, there was an open door for him to join the team come 2009, but after Honda decided to pull out of the sport for the 11th millionth time, this cast doubt over the future of Senna and of the team itself. However, after Ross Brawn purchased the team, and a million pieces somehow falling together, there was potential for Senna to make his Grand Prix debut with Brawn GP. Now, hindsight is 2020, but still, imagine. Ultimately, countryman Rubens Barrichello got the nod for the seat, leaving Senna out in the cold. The reason for this was because Brawn wanted a driver with experience in that seat, and Senna had nada. But this didn't necessarily mean his Formula 1 dreams were over, with 4 new teams.
Hold on, we've seen worse. Like, I feel like we have seen drivers who have done less get seats. I ain't saying no names.
Which became 3 after the USF1
I feel like we know.
Like a dead
I feel
dog
like
in the
we
sun,
know.
expressing interest in the 2010 season. He opted against signing with Mercedes and DTM for 2009 in favor of pursuing his dream of becoming a Formula 1 driver. He turned down a potential opportunity with Lotus, and so eventually looked toward Campos Meta, ultimately to be known as Hispania Racing or HRT. On October 30th, 2009, Campos announced Senna as their first driver for the 2010 season. The Senna name was officially back on the Formula 1 grid. The only problem is, this is HRT we're talking about. The prospect of him potentially driving for Brawn the previous season is a little ironic, because Hispania Racing would ultimately turn out to be one of the worst Formula 1 teams in recent times. The team was in constant financial worry, completed no preseason testing, and turned up to the first round in Bahrain running their display cars, with the aim being just to qualify for the bloody race. These guys going up against the likes of Ferrari, McLaren, and Red Bull was like putting Woody Allen in an octagon with Francis Ngannou. Only difference is, Woody Allen would deserve what came to him, but the drivers at HRT didn't really deserve that shit. In Q1 of the Bahrain Grand Prix, the fastest time laid down was a 1:54.612 by Senior Eyebrows. Senna, the fastest of the HRT cars, set a time of 2 minutes, 3.24 seconds. That immense pace deficit would have seen him lapped numerous times, although on lap 18, his engine was cooked. Not in a good way though. For the remainder of that year, Senna did pretty much all that he could, out-qualifying his teammates more often than not. Although out-qualifying Saka Yamamoto is like beating the Pittsburgh Pirates. Big freaking deal. By the end of the season, however, he would be dumped from the team.
For anybody who doesn't watch baseball, Pittsburgh, it's like 2025. Pittsburgh aren't really that good. They have a really good pitcher, Paul Skeens, really good pitcher, but baseball 101 with Chaz, Pittsburgh Pirates are not that good. But they do have some players. Baseball 101.
Leaving him without a drive heading into the 2011 season. He did pick up a reserve driver role at Lotus Renault, although with Nick Heidfeld and Vitaly Petrov at the helm of the cars, and with both having gotten podiums earlier that year, there was no way they were going to change the lineup, right? Well, yeah, what do you think happened? Yeah, you Dora the Explorer that didn't you? Come late August, it was announced that Senna would replace Heidfeld from the Belgian Grand Prix onwards. A pretty harsh deal for Heidfeld, but, I mean, come on. This is Bruno Senna do Brasil. He'll now have an opportunity to prove his worth, right? Well, straight out of the gate, he qualified 7th in his first race with the team, ahead of teammate Petrov and 2-time world champion Senior Eyebrows. So as long as he gets a decent start and keeps out of trouble, points aplenty were on offer. Yeah, nah, he f***ed it. No. He would achieve his first points finish 2 weeks later at Monza, although for the remainder of that year, Senna struggled to keep up with Petrov, and by the end of the year, he was shafted from Lotus, who opted for a new driver lineup in Kimi Raikkonen and Romain Grosjean, which went well. For 2012, Senna was in need of a drive, and he was offered a lifeline at the Williams Grand Prix team, the team that his uncle raced for at the time of his death. Signing for the team that season, Senna would be partnering Pastor Maldonado. Now, aside from Maldonado having the temperament of a wet cat, his contract also dictated that he would not vacate that car in any FP1 session that year. And because Valtteri Bottas was being groomed for that Williams seat in 2013, Senna had to lie down in 15 FP1 sessions that year. That kind of put him in the back foot, but in fairness, Maldonado drove unbelievably well that year when he wasn't being himself. But it was because of this violent tendency to smash into things that Maldonado only achieved 5 points finishes that year. Senna achieved double that, also scoring the fastest lap at the Belgian Grand Prix, and had standout performances at the Malaysian and Hungarian Grand Prix. The progression that he had made from his first stint with Lotus was pretty noticeable, but for Williams, or any other team on that grid for that matter, it wasn't enough. After leaving Formula 1, Senna went on to race primarily in the Formula E and World Endurance Championships, achieving...
My boy is just getting passed around, like, golly, like, my boy is just getting passed around, like, he's trying to find different spots, you know. I think he that's the only bad thing I hated about Senna, I felt like, is that just from this video, it felt like he had his chance with Lotus, and then he just crapped the bed. And then obviously, stuff like that happens, you know, certain teams don't want to give you, like, another chance. But, I mean, he's still, you know, having these different opportunities and all. You know, he was with Pastor Maldonado, so...
But why have I even brought up Bruno's career then? After barely 2 full years in the game, and the best race result of P6. Is this even worth making a video on? Well, really, Bruno's career is a big case of what if. What if Ayrton hadn't died that day in 1994? Would he have continued to race in karts during his childhood? Would that have led to a development of racing skills at a young age? Would he have entered racing cars earlier? Would this have set him up for Formula 1 easier? Would he have been a better driver than he already was? It puts an exclamation mark on the importance of racing at a young age. But to achieve what he did, having started racing in the junior ranks at age 21, it's nothing to scoff at. His last name had people expecting the world of him, but you should never expect that, no matter which driver it is. No, Bruno is no Ayrton. Regardless, Bruno had his own success in motorsport. He did win championships. He did win races. He did make it to Formula 1. But they never really did get to Formula 1. What if he had gotten the nod for that Brawn GP seat over Rubens Barrichello? Could he have won races that season and potentially challenged Jenson Button for the championship? And could these better results have led to better drives later on in his career? If. F1 is if spelled backwards. But when all's said and done, when you watch him drive his uncle's McLaren that he used to win the 1988 World Drivers' Championship with, it's a feel-good moment. To Bruno, Ayrton was his idol. To Ayrton, Bruno was a prodigy. To everyone else that day at Interlagos, they were both of them heroes.
That's glory. That's absolutely glory.
Anyways, thank you.
I wish he did take that bronze seat. I wish he did take it, or they offer him the spot, whatever. But it just seemed like F1 just didn't cut it for him. He still has success like other like racing like entities and all, but just F1 just didn't really seem like it was it. But I think with him, I can't really hate on, you know, be mad. I think a lot of people like Bruno Senna, like great guy, great person, but you know, when you're losing Ayrton Senna, you know, your uncle who's teaching the ways, who's introducing you how to do things on the track and all, and, you know, and you don't drive for that amount of extended period, that's gonna hurt you in the long run. You know, just being honest, it's gonna hurt you in the long run. But obviously, he has reasons. I don't think anybody is really, faulting him for that. But obviously, I do think if Senna never died, I think Bruno would probably had, you know, a somewhat decent F1 career. You know, if you're at worst, a somewhat decent career. But obviously, man, that accident does, you know, if it messes you up, you know, it messes you up. So Bruno Senna, it's good to see him, you know, still doing well, still doing his thing. But as always, boys and girls, don't forget to like the video, sub as well. Take care, stay amazing, be great. See you guys soon. Peace.